So usually when we're talking quinoa, it's like the steamed type, doesn't have too much flavor, but you eat it because it's good for you. Well, what if I told you that you can take it beyond the bowl and deep fry the stuff? Yes, I'm talking quinoa coated onion rings. They are so good, so crunchy, and you can still feel good eating them, even though they're deep fried. Let's make some. So to make onion rings, you've got to start with some onions. So I have some nice big ones. These are sweet. Cut the base and the top off. So the key to onion rings is you want to make sure you cut them into nice big rings and then delicately separate the rings. So now that all your rings are separated, it's time to coat them in a little bit of flour. And I find that the easiest way to do this is in a bag like this. So I have the flour in there, a big pinch of salt, and shake it around to mix, and in go the onion rings. You want to do a few at a time and shake it to make sure they're nicely coated. I'm creating a super thin batter. It's gonna coat the onion rings, and that way the breadcrumbs will really stick to them. A couple of eggs. I have some cornstarch here, and that's gonna help thicken the batter a little bit. Give that a nice whisk. I'm gonna season with a little bit of salt. Here's something traditional that onion rings are usually soaked in, and that's buttermilk. And I love buttermilk because it's slightly tart and it adds a really great flavor to the onion rings. So here's something you might have not seen before. I wanted an ultra crunchy coating for my onion rings, so I combined conventional breadcrumbs with puffed quinoa. And puffed quinoa is a cereal. It has the texture of Rice Krispies, and it's gonna give these onion rings a huge crunch factor. So I wanna season that up with some fresh thyme and a little bit of salt. Really important to season every layer of the onion ring. Now's the fun bit. So I have my flour dusted onion rings. I'm gonna just drop them into the batter. And you wanna do a few at a time. Have one hand that's sort of committed to hanging out in the batter. Drop this in. And then use this hand to coat. Look at that, how fun does that look? So cute, right? You can see all the little balls of quinoa. So my oil is nice and hot. I'm just gonna let it float away. Here it comes, the first onion ring, and it looks so crunchy. These literally take seconds to cook, not a lot of time. You can hear those quinoa puffs crackling. And look at that. And I like to sort of lay it out on a wire rack like this because the air can circulate around it and it won't get soggy. So as if the onion rings weren't good enough on their own, I had to go ahead and make a dipping sauce. And this one is my garlic aioli. It's just store-bought mayonnaise, a little bit of garlic, lemon, and salt. Super easy, but hella yummy. Looks so good. Right in. I've been a fan of onion rings for a really long time, and I do like the traditional fare, but this is classed up a touch. And if you like things that are ultra crunchy, you gotta add some quinoa into your life. And let me tell you, this is quinoa that you'll like because it's deep fried.